In the tropical paradise of Charm El Sheikh, Egypt, a tourist's serene swim takes a horrific turn. The tranquility is shattered by a man-eating shark, its craving for human flesh ignited. 6 unsuspecting individuals soon fall victim to this terror. This is the true story of 2 women, Olga and Ludmila, whose lives were forever marked by the jaws of this white-tipped shark. Situated at the southernmost point of the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt, Charm El Sheikh sparkles like a gem. A vibrant mosaic of sandy beaches and grand resorts, this city is a magnet for tourists. One of its significant appeals lies beneath the sun-kissed waves, an underwater realm of astonishing biodiversity. The allure of swimming along these lively fish and multicolored coral reefs often proves irresistible to many. Peer beneath the crystal-clear surface and you'll find a marine metropolis in full swing. The coral reefs burst with life and color, serving as the backdrop to an intricate ballet of fish in all shapes and sizes. From the shore, the ocean presents a picture of tranquility. Sun's rays dancing on the rippling surface and inviting swimmers into its warm surface. Yet, beneath this picturesque facade lurks a darker side, as I'm sure I don't need to tell you. In the shadowy depths, predatory creatures roam. They glide stealthily amongst the vibrant coral structures, undetected by those frolicking above. The serene surface masks the potential threat lying in wait, a silent reminder that paradise can, in the blink of an eye, turn disastrous. Back in 2010, this paradise was rattled by the onslaught of shark attacks that would forever mar its reputation. This reign of terror started with 2 unsuspecting victims, 48-year-old Olga Martchenko and 70-year-old Ludmila Stoliarova. Let's rewind ahead to November 2010. Olga Martchenko and her daughter Yelena decided to escape Russia's chilly winter. They opted for a vacation in Egypt, drawn by its rich culture, inviting beaches, warm sunshine. Charm El Sheikh, with its vibrant scenery, became their temporary home away from home. Throughout their holiday, Olga and Yelena spent countless hours exploring Egypt's unique culture. They strolled through bustling local markets, they sampled exotic dishes, and they listened to stories told by friendly locals. But it was the sea that truly captivated them. Mother and daughter loved swimming together. The Red Sea, with its crystal-clear waters and abundant marine life, proved to be irresistible. Days melded into one another as they spent hours diving beneath the waves, surrounded by a dazzling array of fish and colorful coral. On what was supposed to be her last day in this paradise, Olga planned one final swim. Little did she know this day would not end with a quiet meal, reminiscing over her holiday experiences. Instead, this would be marred by a horrific event that would forever change her life. The sun shone brightly as she ventured into the inviting waters. Oblivious to the dangers lurking below, she swam out from the safety of the shore, enjoying the cool water against her skin. She didn't know it then, but this seemingly ordinary swim was about to take a terrifying turn. The tranquil surface hid an impending horror that was silently moving beneath her. The countdown had begun. Imagine Olga, drifting lazily on her back, the warm water lapping against her skin, her fingers tracing the sun's reflection on the water's surface. Suddenly, a rough texture grazes her hand. Confused, she tries to identify the odd sensation, only for her musings to abruptly be cut short by the searing pain of a shark's teeth sinking into her flesh. How would you react in that situation? Subscribe for more content like this. As the shark violently shook its head, ripping her flesh and her bone, she found herself staring at the stump that used to be her arm. Amidst her own screams and panicked cries of her daughter from the jetty, Olga fought to evade the shark's relentless attacks, each bite pushing her further into the depths of her nightmare. Despite her terror and her agony, Olga managed to kick her way back towards the jetty using her swim fins. Her heart pounded as the lifeguards reached out, pulling her onto safety in the dock, away from the shark's bloodthirsty pursuit. On the jetty, she was far from the predator's reach, but now she was locked in a different battle, the fight for her life, as blood simply pooled and poured out of her. Staining the jetty red, she willed herself to hold on. What lay ahead, nobody could have foreseen. While the echoes of Olga's screams were fading, Ludmila, oblivious to the turmoil, was just a short distance away, sunning herself beside her husband Vladimir. They were nearing the end of their holiday, and Ludmila, wanting to squeeze the last drops of warmth from the Egyptian sun before heading back to the chills of Russia, suggested that they'd take one last dip in the ocean. But Vladimir, lost in the pages of his book, encouraged her to go alone. Nodding, Ludmila stood up, brushed the sand from her body, and moved towards the lapping waves. Blissfully unaware of the invisible threat lurking beneath the tranquil sea surface. As she entered the water, a feeling of peace washed over her, the comforting rhythm of the waves lulling her into a sense of security. At the same time, deeper underwater, dive instructor Hassan Ali was engaged in a different kind of dance. Accompanied by a client, he was guiding her through the vibrant world of coral and colorful fish, unaware that they were about to cross paths with a creature far less benign. A white-tipped shark, a hefty 3-meter creature, was moving in their direction. Hassan, experienced and observant, noticed the agitation in the shark's movements. A chill ran down his spine as he recognized the danger that he was confronted with. The situation escalated when the shark lost interest in the divers and bolted towards the surface. Hassan's heart pounded in his chest as he watched that shark close in on Ludmila. His breath hitched as the shark clamped down on her leg, dragging this 70-year-old woman under with a strength that left Hassan frozen. The serene sea erupted into a whirl of chaos, the once blue waters turning a horrific shade of red as Ludmila's blood diffused into the sea waters. Resurfacing with his client, Hassan's warning rang out across the beach, but it was far too late. Olga's traumatic ordeal had barely ended when Ludmila's chilling screams echoed to the shore. The beach, moments ago a paradise, had turned into a war scene. As Olga was pulled onto the safety of the jetty, lifeguards, their faces pale, their hands shaking, rushed back to the blood-tinted water to save Ludmila. With Hassan's help, they were able to pull her out, laying her next to Olga as they fought to stem that blood loss. Soon after, the wailing signs of ambulances filled the air. Both women were rushed away from the scene, and their journey here was over, but their full journey was far from over. And as the ambulance raced through the city, Olga's heart gave out. But the paramedics, swift and determined, managed to bring her back. Her pulse weak, but it was steady as they neared the hospital. The immediate rush of the emergency was over when the hospital's sterile, antiseptic-tinged operating room came into view. The sharp smell stung their noses, a stark contrast to the salty sea air that they'd been breathing moments before. Olga and Ludmila, their bodies, were rushed into this alien, intimidating environment. As Olga was wheeled into the room, the extent of her injuries was heart-wrenching. Her arm, once strong and capable, was now an absolutely gumbled mess. The shark's teeth had torn through skin, muscle, and bone with horrifying ease, leaving only a shredded remnant. The surgeons shared grim looks, but there was no choice. They had to amputate the remainder of her arm just below the elbow. A part of Olga, literally and metaphorically, would be left behind in that operating room. But her ordeal was far from over. An equally horrific wound marred her lower body. The shark had ripped away a chunk of her butt, leaving a gaping hole. The injury was so severe that her spinal cord, a cord of nerves usually hidden away within the vertebrae, were exposed. One could almost see the raw pulses of pain radiating from it. Ludmila's condition, sadly, was no less severe. The shark had ripped her foot away in a violent frenzy. The foot, which had been her stable connection to the ground that had carried her throughout life's many journeys, as it does all of us. I probably don't need to explain feet to you. But her foot was now lost to the depths of the Red Sea. Her right arm told a horrifying story of its own. In a desperate act of self-defense, Ludmila had attempted to pull her arm from the shark's vice-like grip, but that shark's teeth had scraped against her flesh and had peeled the skin back and exposed the bone underneath. It was a gruesome sight. The stark white of the bone contrasting sharply with the red, raw flesh still surrounding it. Her hand was caught in the shark's crushing jaws and had been severed entirely. Each injury, each torn piece of flesh, each exposed bone was a battlefield in itself. The women were caught in a war against pain, against panic, against the very edge of survival. Their bodies, torn and bleeding, bore witness to the arduous journey of the recovery that lay ahead. Each breath was a struggle, each moment of victory in their ongoing fight to live. Olga and Ludmila embarked on a painful road to recovery, spending the next 2 months in a hospital in Cairo. Though they were complete strangers before their ordeal, their lives were now completely intertwined by their shared trauma. Eventually, both women were airlifted back to their homeland, Russia. Back home, their journey towards recovery was marked by moments of despair and determination, their bodies now carrying the indelible scars of their gruesome encounter. But they got one hell of a story, I will say. The shark, identifiable by a distinct notch on its fin, went on to wreak more havoc, leaving a trail of victims in its wake. The beast was never captured, and its whereabouts remain a mystery to this day. As the sun dips below the horizon, the residents of the Charm El Sheikh can't help but remember that terror that these calm waters once held, and might still hold to this day. Like this video? Well, then watch this one next.